You're not going to be a doctor overnight. You're not going to be a lawyer overnight. You're not going to be an architect overnight. But what makes you think you're going to be a great trader overnight?
I'm not a systematic trader. I don't go by hard data. I use a lot of different things, fundamentals, and the trade ideas I got on my certain criteria. I know my stats from over the years. I have a really good idea of it. I'm constantly putting the pieces of the puzzle together.
Yeah, you're trying to figure out a giant puzzle, and that puzzle's always moving, and it's always shifting, and you're trying to go through.
The Chinese scammers got smart and realized that there's a lot of short sellers in the market. They would target the shorts to squeeze them. And I was short one of them last year, TOP. It was one of the Chinese scam ones, yet they took it crazy to the after hours. I lost 150,000 on that one.
There's two different type of traders. There is the one that takes the big hit and goes, okay, that sucks. I'm going to go back to the drawing board. I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to come in better, manage my size better. I'm going to do all this. And then there's the guy, again, we all saw, it's the market's fault. Everything's rigged. Listen, I did this. It hurt, but I was able to learn from it. I was able to become a better trader because of it. I was able to implement all of these rules. All right, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm interviewing David from the Friendly Bear podcast. Funny enough, I was on his podcast years ago now, it seems. So we're going to have to do that again soon, David. And
Absolutely.
since then, we've had Lazar on as one of our PMC winners, and he was talking about the room that you guys are in and all the success he had there, and he gave a lot of credit to you guys for winning that podcast. So I'm super excited for this quick little chat I'm going to have here with David, and welcome. How are things? Again, I can't remember when I was on the podcast, but I think the beard was much shorter, so it was probably a couple of years anyway.
Yeah. Couple years, man. I was in Puerto Rico at that time. I was trading out of an office over there, and I was adding trade ideas to my repertoire. And like I remember, this is how far. Like it's 2 years is not that long ago, but it seems so long ago because I think you guys just launched a couple things, a couple features. I think it was the pre-market when it opened up at pre-market open. Trade ideas just had opened. And I think you added another feature for AI and stuff. It's funny, AI is going crazy right now. But
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll get in some
no,
charts and look at that. But yeah, we've been, listen, I don't want to tease too much because every time I do, the devs yell at me. But we've got some more AI stuff coming. That will be super cool. So just quickly, I guess, tell the folks, listen, don't brag about Puerto Rico too much because I have to deal with all of this back here, the snow. So don't brag too much. But just tell the folks a little bit about yourself, how you got started trading, how you found trade ideas, all that cool stuff.
okay, all right. So I'm an architect before trading. Before I came into trading, I started to learn trading in 2016, and yeah, when I got myself in a lot of student debt towards the end of my graduate school, just got in a lot of student debt, and I had a brain operation um, for a brain tumor in 2010 while I was in graduate school. So that
Wow.
prolonged my graduate school by a few years, and I was out of state. I know you're in Canada, I think, so I think it's different for you guys, but here in the States, it's typical for someone in a profession like architecture, medical, um, law to take out a lot of student loans. It's kind of like taboo to talk about it, but like a lot of people take out. It's really normal to get over six figures in student loans.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was in that scenario, and I had to find a solution for my situation, and I stumbled upon real estate. I started looking into real estate, and then like I was looking at other high income skills. Stocks came into the picture, and I decided to go all in with it. And well, not all in like a trade, but like burn the boats
Yeah, devote
and
yourself. Yeah.
devote myself. And yeah, I treated it serious. I treated it like I treated the architecture profession. It's like it takes architecture. I did 4 years bachelor's and a 3 year master's, which took 5 years because I had a brain operation. So architects don't become an architect very easily right away. And then once you graduate after all that schooling, you have to get a license, and it takes like 2 or 3 years. So I didn't, so I approached it with the longer term vision, and yeah, that's how I got started, man.
See, I love that and we try to hit this home all the time, but comparing it to a profession, right? There's so many people, and I don't know if it's social media marketing or what it is that go, oh, well, all I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down, I'm going to hit a couple buttons, and I'm going to make a crap ton of money, and everything's going to be great. But, so I love when I hear successful people say the same thing. It's like, listen, you're not going to be a doctor overnight. You're not going to be a lawyer overnight. You're not going to be an architect overnight. So what makes you think you're going to be a great trader overnight? So, I love that you took that route with it. And how long would you roughly say until you felt confident enough that this was going to be something you're going to be able to do for a while?
All right, so I was in my early 30s when I started, right? When I started fresh. I was financially illiterate. I didn't even know what a stock was. I was starting super fresh. And I gave myself, once I decided to pursue it, I gave myself until 40 years old to get profitable. And of course, when I had that, it turned out a lot sooner. Well, not a lot sooner, but it turned out sooner than that. But I would say when I started to really devote myself and change my habits, like for example, I used to go out and drink on the weekends and stuff and go to, bar, club, whatever.
Yeah.
Once I started to trim those other areas of my life that would like help me study and be more productive and devote 8 to 10 hours a day solid, sometimes way more, but around like really, it was a really normal for me to have 8 to 10 hours study session multiple times, like just going for lunch, breakfast, dinner, get my a little bit of rest, and just go back to studying, just like I was in architecture school. So
Yep.
architecture school, we have a lot of models and computers stuff, models to do, drawings, presentations. I would take cat naps in the studio, and just like go to the when I had free time, my I would go to the library and check out books and read on my own, just like look at buildings and stuff. So like I just came with those habits into it and into to learn stocks. And also I noticed like this is all performance based. It's not like a career. A career, it's not performance based. It's all on you. It depends on
Yeah.
you. So that's when I started to trim my other habits outside my life, my study time that would increase my odds. Like, I stopped going out. Um, I would yeah, just cleaned up my life, get into like, good discipline habits with the gym and with just making my bed every day in the morning and just getting myself in really good routines and
Yeah.
just focusing solely on getting profitable, you know?
Yeah, and that's one of my trading mentors back when I was getting into it too. Always said the same thing. He's like, Listen, in this game, at any time you can just blow yourself up. Like you can undo 20 years of great stuff in just minutes if you really, you're doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. So discipline, obviously huge. Now, I did want to talk. I don't want to talk too much about just trading in general, but I do want to talk a little bit about trading style, specifically because, again, like we mentioned, you bred one of our winners who, during the contest, turned $100,000 account with 400,000 buying power, flipped that into like 3.5 million. Now, we all know these are unrealistic, like real world results, but whatever you're teaching over there, whatever you're doing is obviously working. So, can you just give us a little bit of a hint into your trading style, into maybe suggestions for people who are joining our future contests, things that they should look at? Again, what is it that you do? Where was it that you focused? Because, coming from an academic background and getting into this and going as hard as you did, I'm sure there was 1,000 different routes with swing trading and options and forex and whatever. So what did you settle on, and kind of why did you settle on that trading style?
All right, so shout out to Laza though. Laza's really putting in a lot of work. He takes it seriously and like, it's like he's model. I have a friend that calls it like modeling successful people or successful way to go about things, and he's doing that very well. He knows me better than I know myself, so he sees my trades, he's analyzing, he's doing a lot of work. But
Good.
okay, so the way I trade, it's just like it just goes back to like architecture school, you know what I mean, or architecture. It's like architects are like the composer of a symphony. I like to think of it, and all these instruments coming together to form the whole, and it's like architecture too. It's like an art and a science. It's not.
Yeah.
I'm not a systematic trader. I don't go by hard data. Um, I use a lot of different things, fundamentals and the trade ideas. I got like all my certain criteria, and I know my stats from over the years. Over I have a really good idea of it, but I'm not. It's not everything's not just hard set, and it's like I'm constantly putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Like is this company a foreign company? What's the float? Is it, is that float maybe taken up by someone? How's this price action moving? Is it a high debt stock? That's what I avoided. What's the institutional percentage? The institutionals, they can have a lot of algorithms. Is this like algorithmic driven? What's the agenda here? The agenda, okay, they have dilution. I'm all short, by the way. So
Hmm.
if what's they need to raise cash, they have dilution, they want to, so what is the agenda? Okay, so because so it's like a game of chess, and at the same time, like a symphony. I'm like the compose. It's really enjoyable for me at this point. I think of it like this: like I'm the composer of a symphony at the same time playing 4D chess, and at the same time figuring out a big giant 1 million piece puzzle.
Well, that's and I, you know, I'm
You know?
I'm a swing trader, right? And I'm more of a systematic guy, so different worlds, but a lot of the same joy from it. It's yeah, you're trying to figure out a giant puzzle, and that puzzle's always moving, and it's always shifting, and you're trying to go through. So I love that you said you're short only because we're actually the contest that's coming up may be done by the time this comes out, but is short only. So I'd really be interested to see if we're going to see another winner from one of your communities, or at least in the top 10, because it's a different game, right? And I think it's really interesting that you mastered that, because a lot of people get sucked into, oh, this stock went up 500%. I should really be looking to buy this thing. But as you said, all of the time, the most of the time, a lot of these names come back. So I guess that is the differentiating factor that I want to kind of hit on with you. Is you talked about high debt, and you talked about kind of dilution. So is part of your game to try to figure out what is a real move with a real company, and they've done something or had a partnership that's been great, versus what is a kind of overhyped flash in the pan? And do you have any specific fundamentals, if you had to pick one to point people to, that would kind of give them that idea?
Okay, so another thing I consider is like who's on the other side of the trade. It's like a chess game because, like, for example, a good example would be like SOUN today. I didn't
Hmm.
trade it, um, but it's going with the AI sector with Nvidia. So I'm looking at Nvidia. Okay, so Nvidia owns 3 million shares, a small position in SOUN. They have their float is like 200 million or something. So it's like everybody, the stock is up in sympathy with NVDA. So there's a lot, and the float is huge. It has a lot of dilution. It has a semi cash need, enough cash need to attract a lot of shorts and a lot of and it has like an ATM in place. It's a stock that's had it's diluted a lot in the past, and last year around this time AI was also going pretty wild last year. So
Yeah.
it's being overshorted by like casual people. Like I we talk about the doctors, lawyers, architects. They're very smart people, and a lot of them they think they know, they think it's a no-brainer short. Oh, it needs cash. Oh, it
Yeah.
has dilution. Oh, it's not NVDA. NVDA. This is trash. And then they short. It's like it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. And then everybody thinks it's a no-brainer, and then all of a sudden it keeps going higher. So I do consider like the other side of the trade. So like what are they thinking? And also it's yeah, I don't want to. If it's overcrowded, I'll I try to make my best judgment and to avoid those.
Yeah, and that's a common thing, and a trading style that I always like as well, is trying to figure out. You're right; it's a chess game. So who's on the other side? And there's Jason Shapiro, which is a swing trader, but I follow a lot of his work, and he does like commitment of trader reports, and he tries to figure out where the institutions and where's the retail, and if I can figure that out and trade with the institutions and against the retail people, then that's usually a good game to play. And I like the idea of dilution as well, because you're if you know the company itself is selling, that's probably a good name to step in front of, right? Because if you're fighting against the company itself, then it's probably not going to be the move. So I love that. I love that tip for shorting. I know we're short on time, but I have a few more. One I always like to ask traders, and it's kind of uncomfortable, but tell me your worst trade and what you learned from it. Because every trader I talk to, they've got one or two that just they'll remember until the day they die. And but I always think you get the lessons, the best lesson for when you really get smacked out of nowhere.
All right, so I have a category of traits. So the Chinese companies, and I have a whole. I can go. I have a whole reason and a whole list of evidence and stuff. 'Cause I do short reports too. I used to do a lot of short reports,
Hmm.
and there used to be these manipulated Chinese stocks. Actually, they're still going on. Except I don't even keep track of them anymore. But they have these like scammers online that would like message people to buy their stock,
Yeah, I know what you're
and
talking about.
yeah, and then they would dump it on them, and they used to be like no brainer shorts, like it's a scam short. It's and then the Chinese scammers got smart and realized that there's a lot of short sellers in the market, and then they would target the shorts to squeeze them. And I was short one of them last year, TOP, and it was one of the Chinese scam ones, and yet they took it crazy to the after hours. I lost 150,000 on that one. That was my biggest loss. And after that, I just canceled out Chinese stocks, and my life's been a lot easier since then, and I've made a lot more money since then. And it's been a very good thing to just delete from my trading.
Well, and listen, again, I don't never ask that question to harp on anyone, but I always think you're right. The best lessons come from it, and I always love to hear professional traders deal with it. Right? I've never asked that question to a professional trader once, and they go, "Oh, I don't have any horror stories like that. Everything I do is fantastic, and everything's fine." And then the good ones go, "Yeah, that really sucked. I learned a lesson. I changed my trading, and I'm moving on with my life." And that's kind of how you have to do it. When I asked my buddy JC from All Star Charts, he was like, "I bought a whole bunch of uranium right before the giant tsunami in Japan, where it hit the uranium plant, right, or the nuclear power plant. Uranium just tanks." And he goes, "Nothing. Sometimes, right? It's just nothing I can do about it, right? It's just part of life." So I love that. So, two quick questions.
One last
Sorry.
one thing I wanted to mention also, Michael,
Yeah.
because that was such a big loss that you always want to learn from your losses, and some my trading up until that point of last year, that was April of last year, was
Hmm.
like I was having the best month of my career. I was sizing up and I was getting sloppy. I was getting but I was getting rewarded for it.
Hmm.
And then like I size up into this one and I get crushed. And it's like ever since then I was forced to make adjustments, and my trading has improved tremendously. And I think if I didn't take that loss, it's crazy because that's $150,000, a lot of money. But
Hmm.
if I didn't take that loss, I might have had a bigger loss down the road, because it forced me to make a lot of changes, and like I still was in good shape overall, because overall because of my trading career. But like if that would have happened early on, it would have been disaster. So like just being grateful for that time, the timing of that lesson, that it didn't happen earlier, and I've improved since then. So it's just like it's a lot of things come into play. But yeah, it's tough, man. Those big losses. So ever since then I vowed, I put in broker stop losses,
Yeah.
a $10,000 broker stop loss. I have a max size broker max size. I've diversified my money. I've switched to stock selection. As Laza that won the competition, he is so good with stock selection, and I try to set a good example, in the community, the small community that I have. And just because of stock selection is so key, and like I don't break my rules, I do not compromise, and like it's everything has gotten so much stronger, and that's just I don't ever want to take a loss like that again. It's so unnecessary to take such a big hit.
And but that again, I think you hit the nail on the head completely there, where it's part of the game, and there's two different type of traders, and we see them a lot, especially if you spend any time on social media. There is the one that takes the big hit and goes, okay, that sucks. I'm going to go back to the drawing board. I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to come down better. I'm going to manage my size better. I'm going to do all this. And then there's the guy, again, we all saw, it's the market's fault. Everything's rigged. And I love how you just said, listen, I did this. It hurt, but I was able to learn from it. I was able to become a better trader because of it. I was able to implement all of these rules. And again, I know you got to go, but again, two questions I wanted to get to you. One, that
Sure,
computer
sure.
setup is wild. So what are you rocking there? I was going through your Twitter. I'm like, holy smokes. Do you go blind at the end of the day? You should, again, go, his
Um,
Twitter account's below his name. Go check it out. It's absolutely insane.
yeah, I got the blue light glasses,
Ah, there you
but
go.
it's no, I don't really go blind. But it's Asus. No, no, is it? It's Alienware. Alienware. The Ryzen something. I have an Amazon list on the podcast show notes. It has everything I own, but it has these screens are the ultra wide ones. They're kind of like ultra wide for horizontal, but I made them vertical, and it's for them.
Gotcha.
And I like the stand that goes with the screen because it kind of like hovers it. It appears like it's hovering, but it's just a nice stand. And yeah, that Alienware and Asus ultra wides. So
It's yeah, it just looks like you're like actually at a battle station, like you're gonna be launching nukes on someone or something there.
yeah,
Um,
I'm in a. I like to think of it like a fighter jet.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, and that's
Yeah.
what, again, one of the things we talk about all the time at Trade Ideas, right? Is that we've got all of the crazy stuff for the guys like you that want it. Last but not least, another thing scrolling through your Twitter, man, you got me hungry. All the steak pictures, where are you going to
Oh
get
man.
those? Are you
Oh
making those
yeah.
yourself? Jeez.
I since trading has blessed me very well, man. I love trading. I love it. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I thought I loved architecture, but until um trading I started to do well at trading, then I was like comparing, no, trading I love 10 times more than architecture. And so I became a steak connoisseur the past couple years. I like the tomahawk steaks, 32 to 40 ounce, depending on my hunger.
So you're doing these yourself?
Argentine. Yeah, so tomahawk, Australian Wagyu's cool. I had that. I love Argentine steak, Argentinian steak. And yeah, bone-in ribeyes at LA Prime next door. It's pretty good too. I went to Mastro's last week, Maestro's, whatever you call it. Um, yeah, I love steak, man. I eat Japanese barbecue a lot too.
Oh
You got
yeah.
it right there.
So
That
I
was
got it
40
here.
ounce, man. Crazy.
Damn. So you're able to get through this. So that's what, now we know what we're gonna do if, when we finally meet up in person. The same thing. You got to take me. If you're a steak connoisseur, I'm
I got
a
you, man. Yeah,
giant
we're gonna.
bearded Canadian dude, so I'm all about it. But yeah, I was preparing for this and I was scrolling through your Twitter, and I'm like, man, I got to get supper. Look at that thing. That's great.
It's huge. And by the way, the plate was really hot. I think they cook it with the plate. It's crazy.
Oh, that seems like the move. I like that. Well, listen, David, I know you've got stuff to do. I don't want to keep you very long. I just, when I was setting up traders to do these interview with, your name definitely came up. You're going to be the first of the traders on the series, so I love that. I love the chat that I had with the PMC winner there. He was just all the rave talking about it. So I'm going to give you a second. Just where do people find you? Where do they go? Where's the best thing that they can do to follow more of you and what you do?
All right, so they can find me at the Friendly Bear on all over the audio podcast, as far as Apple, Spotify, Amazon. On YouTube, it's Friendly Bear Research.
Hmm.
I also launched an academy, Conscious Trading Academy. We have our first conference in a few days, but we're going to be doing another one down the line. So always pay attention. And of course, Instagram Reverse Long, Twitter Reverse Long, like you see over here with the underscore. Um, yeah, and I'm friendly and I'm open to talk to anyone that reaches out. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, again, thanks again for being on. I greatly appreciate it. Let me know when that next conference is. Maybe I'll get Trade Ideas to fly me out. specifically for the steaks, right? I'm going to get you to get something
Oh
going
yeah,
there.
absolutely. We gotta get those steaks, man.
Absolutely. Well, thanks a lot, man. You have a good one.
Thanks, Michael. I'll see you later.
See ya.